All right. I guess I'm the one that should be ready, huh?
I'm waiting for you.
That's true. Sometimes, Jared, I want to make you wait a little bit. Gotta make it worth the wait.
Why do you always say that?
Gotta make it worth
That's kind
the
of
wait.
gross, You always like to play these games with people.
No games, Jared. No games.
That's
here.
exactly what it is.
No games.
That's exactly what it is. I don't like the way you play with my hort. It hurts my feelings. Dude. So it's back to school season.
Yep. That's been a clusterfuck, for a lack of a better term, here in the States at least, I would say.
It's funny that you say that. Because I was scrolling through social media and I saw that our alma mater.
Oh yeah, let's talk about this.
Put out a little. I thought this was perfect for a gap year conversation.
I mean, this would definitely justify doing a gap year.
Because if there's any year that would justify a gap year, it seems like it would be this one.
Yeah, I would say so. So let's talk about what's going on at Albion College.
Do you want to do a normal intro, or do you just want to talk about it?
We can in a minute. Let's just talk about it. We can.
Do you want to see the video?
Wait, there's a video about Albion College? I haven't seen this. Yeah, let's see this.
There's a video, Chad.
Let's see this. Okay.
So, so Albion, as they say on their website. Here, let me pull up their website because they had a little slogan that I actually look. It's actually it's the last thing I had up on my
Teacher
together safely in the fall.
Oh, here we go.
Together safely. So this is what their website says, and Albion College plans to be together safely in the fall. That's actually just what it says. But let me show you the video that I saw at least. You can hold my phone. I've seen it.
And I am a student leader on Albion campus.
I feel bad now that
Hello, my name is and I am a student leader on campus.
Student leader
We're back on campus getting ready for the semester.
All right, they're masked up. I'll give them credit for that.
But Albion has been preparing to welcome us back all summer.
Okay, they're on the quad outside. I do like that. Got the hand sanitizers. Their water bottle thingies, Jared, where you're not pushing the water fountain, but you keep your bottle under.
As you walk around campus, you'll see that there is a lot of new signage to direct the flow of traffic and make sure people maintain safe physical
distance. That's the KC, the little student center. There's a one-way in, one-way out.
Okay. You know what, though? I will say this, though, Jared. It does seem like they really are trying to take
you can see, I'm wearing my
a lot of precautions.
Masks help prevent the spread of the virus, according to research. Therefore, we are requiring it on campus. You must wear your mask indoors and outdoors. The times that you can take off your mask is when you're 6 feet physical distancing while outside, and when you're indoors, you can take it off if you're in your dorm with your roommate.
But when you arrive on campus, you'll receive a PPE kit. This includes a mask, hand sanitizer, gloves,
can you pause it for a second?
Sure.
And a thermometer. While you're on campus, please.
The mask is is just like one of those sort of disposable masks.
Right.
What are they supposed to do with that one-time use mask?
Right. Well, that's not going to be enough. And in the video, I will also say everyone else we saw wearing a mask had a cloth mask that's reusable.
Yeah, they did. But I'm sure that there are Albion branded ones that they're wearing. But I'm sure you can buy those for a very reasonable price in the student center. If you'd be interested.
Have you forgotten what country we live in, Jared? I mean, we do live in a capitalist country.
We'll give you one of these,
I get
masks
ads
that you're supposed
for
to wear
MSU
for a day.
masks, and I got an ad for an FC Bayern face mask.
Of course, yeah. YouTubers and podcasters are selling masks.
Your Mom's House podcast, I saw one that said like "Shut up, Karen" or something like that, or "F you,
yeah,
Karen."
they have a few. Yeah, they have a few. All right, let's keep going. Let's keep going.
But so let's.
There's a little more. There's a little more.
Oh, the video. Yeah.
When you arrive on campus, you'll receive a PPE kit.
Yep.
I've seen it.
This includes a mask, hand sanitizer, gloves, and a thermometer. While you're on campus, please make sure
it's like an old school thermometer. Put in your armpit. Like college students are really going to do that.
It is the responsibility of all members of our community to protect one another to prevent the spread of COVID-19.
We can all do our part to ensure that this semester is engaging, healthy, and safe. It will take all of our efforts.
Right. They're not wrong about that. It will take all of their efforts.
Chad likes that part.
All right, let's talk about this, Jared. I was about to say let's unpack this, but I know how much Jared loves generic. But let's talk about this though, because I've been in contact with some of our friends at Albion College as well, just to kind of, I'm curious about how they are going about things. I will say this, though.
What do you mean, some of our friends at Albion College?
Some of our old contacts. I'm not going to say their names because I don't want to,
I see.
we are an international podcast here, Jared.
Listen,
I don't want any,
We have contacts within the confines, and we will get you the truth.
That's right. That's what we do here, people. And so anyways, I was talking to one of my contacts from Albion, and they were saying, the good thing about it, and I will agree with them, is that Albion is a small enough school where you can kind of track things. But here's the thing. Now, the level of tracking I think you have to do to actually trace this, like if you look at what other countries have done, like South Korea and Taiwan, you need to have a phone app. There was an article I read about Albion where they were not going to allow students to leave, I think, 5 miles away from campus.
Oh, we can go through the FAQs if you're interested.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. And the reason why I think that is a very... The problem with the planning for this entire pandemic with schools and universities, Jared, is we're not taking people's behavior into account, right? Do you really think an 18 or 19-year-old college student is going to go on campus and then not leave? My dad mentioned this. My dad is not the tech savviest gent in the world, but he said, students are going to buy burner phones, and then they're going to leave their phone with the app. And I didn't even think about that.
Oh, you knew about the contact tracing app that they have?
Yeah, so they do have a contact tracing app. Say that 5 times quickly. Are we good?
Yeah, I think we're good.
Okay?
It feels like it's only coming out of one ear, but
I think we had that problem last time. Do you want to?
I think I might.
Remember that was on my headphones last time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's fine. I think I actually might just be going crazy. Maybe it doesn't matter. Either way, it doesn't matter. Everything's fine.
Right.
It's just
2020 will do that to you, Jared. 2020.
So yeah, there is a contact tracing app, and they're claiming it's secure and all this stuff. And they say, so here, let's just go through some of the FAQs because I was curious about some of the things we were talking about. Are students able to leave campus? Yes, students are able to leave campus. Well, first of all, they have to say that.
Right. No, you will be locked up
once you step in. And also, campus doesn't have there's not like a gate around our school, know.
Right. There would be no way
cops
you could really
at a
roadblocks.
Yeah. That would be campus safety blocks the street with their Jeeps.
They just ramp up their campus safety. They're rolling around with a Humvee. Like a purple Humvee, Albion College.
The reason this is funny, by the way, because there are some campuses that have legit police. We never have, so that actually does not as far fetched as we.
It's not.
But our campus,
you got horse cops at MSU. I remember seeing those on game day all the time.
Game day horse cops.
Can you imagine that at Albion? You just got a horse because Albion does have a really good equestrian team. I don't know.
Is it just like
intimidating?
Man. Yeah, people are just don't want to get
intimidating.
It's like, listen, I don't care how drunk you are. You should know not to f with a horse. You don't want to get kicked in the face.
But there are some pretty.
That's a dumb. As I was saying it, I was like, drunk people mess with horses all the time.
I mean, I have definitely. I was with my good buddy Shane. Shout out to you, Shane. We were at MSU and he took a couple selfies with the horse cops. Ooh, you all right? You get stung?
No, I'm okay. I'm okay.
But yeah. So, anyways. So yeah, go through these FAQs though.
So yes,
these Albion FAQs. I'm very curious.
We have not defined a perimeter around campus, but there are campus the reason why it's ridiculous or funny at our school is because our campus safety is literally just like a security guard.
At least back in the day.
Team of probably 10 dudes.
A couple of them were kind of Paul Blart-esque too.
Yeah, and they don't have any weapons or anything.
Right. Well, they shouldn't. Let's be.
Well, I agree. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that.
I think it's a good thing they don't have weapons.
They don't need it. They're effective enough.
But Albion's so small. The police. We did get the police sometimes. We had some parties where the cops rolled up.
But maybe it's because we were so small. The cops weren't called.
Right.
So there weren't so many drunkards passing out.
Well, I would imagine too. Albion probably doesn't want the local police getting involved. Albion College, right?
Because
it would mess up your statistics.
Yeah, it's not going to look good. Also, it wouldn't look good in general just to have cops patrolling.
Right.
Anyway. We are a college town. Campus, quote unquote, to us includes. I guess that's funny. Albion is a college town.
It is. It really is.
Campus to us includes many locations. In college, local businesses and parks, and extended beyond college. So they're just saying, listen, you're free to leave campus, but what is campus really?
Right.
Are students able to leave town? Students can request permission to leave the area.
Yep, see, there we
have
go.
defined as campus.
Right.
Inclusive of
But see,
most of the city
once
of
again, though-
Albion. So you just have to ask to leave Albion, essentially.
But see, once again, what does that entail? Does that mean I have to get a COVID test and I have to quarantine every time I leave campus?
It's so easy to leave campus
know?
without your phone.
Right.
Like, especially if you're leaving with people from school. It's like, I mean, we're all hanging out with each other.
Right. Right. And there will be other stuff going on. What happens if there's a cool, some event, things are popping up now.
Well,
I'm seeing more and more people out and about and doing stuff. So there's going to be something where they're like, "Oh yeah, let's just go to Detroit for a couple days for the weekend and come back to campus." You know what I mean?
Well, see, that's where my concern was first of all, we know people aren't going to not bring it in. That's a double negative. We know people are going to bring it in.
Yep.
But also, the thing that I was thinking about was like the partying and stuff. What's going to happen with the partying?
Right.
The frats? Are they not going to be filled with people just roaming and running into each other in the hallway?
See, and
that shit was gross before there was a pandemic.
Right. And once again, Jared, I think we are not taking people's normal behavior into account. Do you really expect college students?
These are freshmen. Think about the freshmen. 18, first time out of the house, first time able to drink.
That's trouble. That's trouble right there.
I guess, hopefully, I don't know.
Right.
But, it's like these people are free.
It's not realistic.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I love Albion College, but I have a lot of concerns. I really hope everyone there will be safe.
Guests are allowed, but they have to register, by the way.
Yep. Well, and that's the other thing is, so what do you do? Because I read a story actually about a student at Iowa that tested positive for COVID. She moved into her dorm. I think they were,
You had a student at Iowa?
No. I read online an article about a student. She was a freshman, 18-year-old girl who, started college, moved into with a roommate, blah, blah, blah. And one day she had a headache and she wasn't quite feeling well. They did give all of them thermometers. So she took her temperature and her temperature was 101. And so she called whatever the number on campus was to call. They said, you don't have any other symptoms, but we'll do a test just to be safe. And of course, lo and behold, she tested positive. Doesn't know who she got it from, where, and that's the thing about this is that you can get it and not even know, and give it to so many people and not even know.
Where were you last weekend? I don't really remember.
Right. How many people did you talk to at that party? Well, I had too many drinks. And
How many
really
people
sure.
did you have physical contact with? You're asking a lot of questions.
Right. These are very personal. These are very personal questions. I mean, and look, and I'm not by any way insinuating that this girl was doing anything irresponsible either.
It's just bound to happen.
Right. Exactly.
It's unavoidable.
Exactly. And so we'll see. I wonder, too, will Albion have available COVID testing for students who do have symptoms? How does that work?
I believe so.
Okay. Yeah, let's go through some more of the... I'm curious about
No,
these
I don't know if
FAQs.
they have anything about... They don't have any
Okay.
FAQs. That was most of them.
But they should have one about testing, I feel like.
No.
They
will
don't,
students
but they
be able
should.
to... Here, I'll just go through the questions. Able to leave town, permitted to have visitors. Will they be suspended if they leave campus or violate? They say no, they want to educate, but if they keep doing it, then actions will be taken.
I will bet there's probably like a 2 or 3 strikes you're out kind of thing. I betcha.
Will students be able to enjoy the normal activities of a residential campus education?
Not quite.
In-person classes are already small and easy. Now they're trying to advertise their small class sizes and easily adaptable to social distancing guidelines.
They are right about that, but once again, are you testing everybody? I don't know.
Well, I'm going through the questions.
I know. I'm just being devil's advocate here, Jared.
Are students being quarantined for how long? What happens if a student tests positive? Yes, upon arrival, students are quarantined for 3 days.
What is...
Unless their negative test results are returned sooner. So they are being tested when they enter the campus.
Good. Okay.
But I don't know how... if a student tests positive, they are moved to isolation on campus and cared for by our director of health and wellness. They probably have a dorm, like what's the dorm next to Baldwin? The red something?
Seton?
Seton, yeah. They probably are going to use something like that because that, I believe, they closed. I mean, they weren't using it while we were there.
Right.
And so maybe
was
they'll
years ago.
Maybe they'll turn that one into like the sick bay or something. Are students being okay? So they say when they come on though. Like, is there a place where you can go and get tested? I wonder.
Right.
Are these?
I would assume. I would hope so.
Are there exceptions to in-person instructions for students who need them? Yes. While the majority of students, 90% of survey respondents, how many they survey? 15 people, are strongly in favor of returning for in-person partying. Oh, excuse me, learning. Students can have requested virtual learning options for specific exceptions. Well, why don't they just set up a webcam in the back of the classroom? Is that too much?
Well, Jared,
to buy
Well, Jared,
100 webcams?
Hold up, Jared. Okay,
more than 100 probably.
You're asking a lot. First off, as someone who has been newly employed to help faculty adjust to this virtual learning,
now that you're a professional, Chad,
I can tell you, Jared, that it's not that easy. I wish it was.
People are stupid. I know that. Even the small sort of amount of technology we have to deal with at my job just to communicate with people, we use Skype.
Okay.
And I mean,
I'm surprised you guys don't use Microsoft Teams or something.
We have Teams. But it's not really used, really.
Oh, interesting.
And the thing about Teams is you have to, and this is not just in my company, but you have to request to, you can just chat normally, but you have to then request to make groups in Teams, which is kind of annoying. But no one uses it really.
Okay. Well, that's probably why. I think
the thing about Teams that I do like, even though I never use it, is that in Skype, if you close a window, you lose the conversation.
Yep.
And so I accidentally will click out and be like, oh, there's something in there I wanted to say, I need to copy and paste or something, I don't know, and I just closed it like an idiot without thinking. Right. And now I can't get it back. That annoys me. But yeah, anyway, why are we talking now? Why are we talking about
webcams? You were saying, well, here's the thing. I really think unless you have to be in class with your students, I would suggest either a hybrid format or a fully online format. And maybe one thing I thought about was maybe do monthly lecture with your students. Where
I gotcha.
Because if you have a language class, as a language teacher, I'm always thinking of a language class. But if you have any class, and you only have around, Albion has small enough classes where you would have probably anywhere from I think the smallest number of classes they can give is actually, believe it or not, 3 students. I had 3 students in my German class.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I've never been I've probably never been in a class in I almost said in German, in Albion, where, I can probably count on 2 hands. Mm-hmm. 1 hand, the number of classes I've had where the classroom was full.
Right. Oh, yeah. Me too.
I've probably had 2 or 3 or 4 of those classes.
And they were usually kind of the gen ed. The geology classes tended to fill up because those are the quote-unquote easier. I don't know if they're necessarily easier, but a lot of science classes.
Well, it's just all the sort of the class that people go to, the sort of 101s that you take for the prerequisite kind of classes.
Exactly.
And yes, it was the prerequisite classes. And for me, it was also when I did the summer school program for my business program because it was the whole business program split, and they split the classes into 2 groups. Right. So it was, it was all the, usually the business school people are split out between a bunch of classes, not just, the 3 or 4 that they offered for us at the time. So
yeah, I mean, it's really crazy though right now in general, Jared, just to see what's happening in the field of education in the U.S. And I will say this though, I do think Albion does stand a bit of a better chance because it is a smaller institution.
But see, I'm not concerned. See, here's the deal, though. I'm not concerned about. Well, I am, but my main concern isn't the in-classroom teaching or the teaching protocol or the sort of just protocol throughout the campus. My concern is with the students,
right,
and with the dorm living, with the fraternity living. We know what that's like, and we know with the hygiene levels.
Not great in college. College students are notoriously
and I just don't believe that people are going to be walking or en masse. Are going to be walking around their dorm, wearing a mask when they go to their friend's room or something like that.
I think what will happen, it'll last a week. It'll last a week where people are wearing a mask.
And then people get comfortable. They start to get to know each other.
Well, that's what's happened
with their family and shit.
Right. Well, that's what's happened with so many people I've seen now on social media where they're going to weddings and stuff. They're posting all these pictures and I'm like, all right, so are we just done with this? Is that really what it is now?
Yeah, I know someone every time I talk to them. And I don't see them in person, but I talk to them on the phone sometime. Every time I talk to them, they're like, "Yeah, we went to I was at a baby shower. Oh yeah, I went to a wedding,
Yep.
and I'm like, you're going to a lot of events.
Right.
Like I haven't been to any events. I even feel like I need to justify and explain like our whole process. Even when I just say that I hang out with you, I'm like, yeah, but I know Chad only goes to like 2 places, and I don't even go anywhere either.
Right.
And it's like Chad is being extra safe because his parents are older, and I don't go anywhere. And I always need to feel like I need to explain it forever. And you're the only person I hang out with.
Yep. Likewise. I mean, the thing is, well, I mean, I did play tennis with my friend like a week or 2 weeks ago.
But that was outdoors, I guess.
And I think he's been pretty safe, too. I think that's the thing is this is all about trust, though.
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess.
And these are small encounters.
Right.
These aren't like living in dorms. These aren't
right
on a college campus.
Well, I just think of, too, like, when I worked at the music department, we were in pretty close quarters. You have those practice rooms, and music students need to be able to practice if you're studying music. So what do? Do you sanitize the practice room? Do you really expect students to do that? Because I think there's going to be a lot of
people
them.
don't even do that at the gym.
Right, exactly. So, and that's the other thing. You have the gym. You have all these.
Oh,
things.
I wonder what they're going to do about sports.
Right. I'm not sure. I mean,
well, I guess they also need other people to play against too.
Right, and they've been postponing a lot of stuff for spring, which I think for now is smart.
Yeah.
I think really, I don't get why from a. I get that a lot of universities and schools are worried about losing money and funding, but if you lose your faculty because they die from this, if you lose a lot of your student, I'm being serious.
Yeah, I know.
It's true.
It's just hard to hear, I guess.
Well, I'm trying to tell the truth here, Jared.
I mean,
if you
you're
lose
right.
your student body, I mean, I've already seen, and the sad truth is too, you have a lot of American college students who are also have a lot of health problems. We have
just
a lot
American people, period.
Right. Yeah, we're overweight a lot of times.
Oh yeah, I mean,
That's a
especially in
big thing.
college. That's a good point.
Right.
It's
freshman
especially
15.
shitty in college.
Right. So I don't know, man.
Although I have put on the quarantine 15.
Have you really?
I think so. Feels like it.
I've lost. I am now at 172 pounds, Jared.
I don't weigh myself. I don't even have whatever you call it. There you go.
Scale. Yeah, my parents have a pretty nice one. I pop on once in a while, but my whole point is here, Jared, is
you look good, by the way.
Thank you. I've been.
I know you were fishing for a
that
compliment.
gym 5 days a week makes a difference, man. I tell you what.
I've been telling you I've been playing soccer. I even
Nice.
whipped out the cleats too.
Ooh, there you go.
Although now I'm like I need new ones.
Dinos?
Yeah, they're like Adidas Predators.
Oh, not the Dinos.
No,
I was
no,
talking
no.
about you had some Nike Ronaldinhos.
Oh, I
too.
do. I don't know where those went. I think I might have thrown those
Okay.
away.
Oh, you did. You did. But
I
those
have
were
some
cool.
Nike Adidas Predators that I've had since I don't know
The black ones,
final
right?
years of high school. So those are kind of red. Yeah, black
Right.
and red. And so those
It's
are
time for an
actually kind of
upgrade.
starting to hurt my
It's
feet
time
a
for
little
an
bit. So now that
upgrade.
I've been playing a bit, I'm like, ooh, your boy's got to upgrade.
Yeah.
So I'm
sure.
looking into it
For sure. But the thing I wanted to mention, though, Jared, before we went off on our numerous
I'm
tangents,
sorry.
was I don't know why more schools and universities and colleges aren't doing this semester online or hybrid, where you really minimize.
See, now you're
as much-
contradicting yourself, though, because you were just saying, I know how hard it is to try to get a group, especially a mass group of people, to
Right.
adopt technology.
Well, but see, here's the thing. I think it's easier to get your students and your faculty acclimated to using technology if you plan for it in
Okay.
advance.
So either go all in. Don't do the half
Exactly.
and half, where it's like half
Exactly.
people there, but then you have to
And
stream it.
right.
Just
And even
all or nothing.
all or nothing. And even if you do a hybrid where you met maybe once or twice a week, like socially distanced,
Still all or nothing.
also still all or nothing.
Right.
Exactly. You would still have the full online training.
What's the point of the once a week thing? I don't get that.
I'll tell you exactly what it is. People miss the human contact. People want.
Yeah.
It's just a different, because even talking on Zoom, there's also this thing in the field of like online learning right now called Zoom fatigue, and it's a real thing. I can tell you, dude, as someone who's been sitting through 6 to 8 hours of consultations and Zoom meetings on either Microsoft Teams or Zoom,
Yeah.
you get tired.
I don't. My job is not a meeting heavy job, but most of my coworkers have meeting heavy jobs,
Right.
And like they've been talking about that since the beginning of this, where it's like it feels like, and this is true for me too. Like it feels like I have more meetings now than I did before. And that's because you have to schedule, like I even have to schedule a meeting if I want to go over some some presentation I put together. If I want to go over it with my boss, I can't just turn around and be like, hey, can I talk to you in 20 minutes about or go over this with you? I schedule a 30 to 45 minute long meeting. And so
Right.
like and for people that have like a lot of more important job than I do. They're talking about how they're just hopping from like meeting to meeting to meeting to meeting all day long.
My bosses, I have no idea how they do it.
Dude, I know.
No idea how they do it, to be honest. It's amazing.
Especially my like the thing about like the head of like my department at my job, like the high head honcho.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how she does it because I haven't seen her schedule, but I have to imagine she's got like multiple things on top of each other, and at some point, I mean, obviously you have to prioritize meetings, but then at some point you just have to be like, all right, I'm not going to like I still have to schedule time where I can like actually sit down and eat a meal without having to talk to people.
That's been me a little bit this week.
Well, we should talk about that in actually a later episode that we're doing.
We can. Yeah, we can. We definitely can.
So are we going to start the episode 26 minutes in?
Well,
Is that what we're about to do?
I think at this point, Jared, you are such a wizard. Here, don't start the song. Don't start.
No,
the
I'm
song.
not going to start the song.
You're such a wizard. Yeah, just do it post edit. With the song.
I'll do it.
And I think, but yeah, I'm happy to, I guess, intro us in now. We've had a nice little warm up chat.
Yeah,
I'm feeling a little more talkative now.
I like to loosen it up, slide into it, not just,
But I think our conversation up to now, Jared, actually gives us some good evidence why a gap year might be good for some people. Especially as you said right now. So today for everyone listening, we are going to be talking about a gap year, and first, I guess. We'll get into the usual, the shout-outs, the untranslatables, and the main topic. But just for all of our listeners, a quick teaser, since we are already 26 minutes into this. A gap year is basically when, usually at least, when you, doesn't have to be, but usually when you graduate high school, you take a year and you work somewhere in a different country or a different city, and you travel a little bit. And some people kind of talk about it as a year to find yourself. So we'll talk a little bit more about that later. I was hoping to get more of a facial expression or a reaction out of Jared, but it's all right.
Listen,
I'm sure
I've been practicing,
later.
Chad. I've been working on myself.
Nice.
And I've been trying to roll my eyes less.
That's good. A little bit of stoicism, Jared, never hurts. Never hurts.
Much like you, I feel like I talk too much. It's so funny that we both sit here and host a podcast together, but I too feel like I talk too much sometimes. So it's nice to just sit back and let the moment sit,
That's true. That is true. But let's spread a little love. Let's spread a little love, and
please.
I have a couple shout outs. My first one, I want to give a shout out to all of our Brüder and Schwester in Germany, because
or you could just say Geschwistern, right? Could you say that?
You could. Our siblings.
Yes.
I like differentiating though and saying brothers and sisters. I don't know why.
Okay.
It sounds nicer than just.
I mean, it
my
sounds
siblings.
better if you're like from the islands or something. My
that's
brothers
true.
and sisters.
That's true. And I feel like as a white dude, I feel a little inappropriate in me trying to do some of those.
It's kind of inappropriate for me to do it too, I guess. I'm certainly not an islander.
Right. Yeah. But anyways, I think we try to do this out of love and respect here on the Untranslatable podcast, Jared. Unless we're just blatantly shitting on somebody, but that's a different story.
That rarely happens.
We try to keep that to a minimum here, But anyways, yeah. So Germany's biggest.
Why
union,
is your circle so nice and mine's just a jumbled mess?
You tell me, buddy. I don't have the answers.
Go ahead. German union.
Germany's biggest union has actually called for a 4-day work week to save thousands of jobs. I think some of this is probably because every country has been hit with a little bit of an economic
Can they pay
downturn.
less if they do a?
Well, sure. I think technically, if you're working less hours, you would be paid less. I would imagine.
I thought it was a. Excuse me. That was I screamed. I thought it was a COVID thing.
Well, it might also could be, but I think Germany, they've done a pretty good job with testing and tracing. And from at least my few, I get some really good info out of Germany because one of my good friends is a doctor. And he worked in a COVID ward. So he really knows what's going on over there.
I do like the idea, though, of a company adopting something like this and actually, like, sort of being honest with themselves with how much they need employees. And because sometimes I feel like people do have these, 80-hour-a-week jobs that can be done in less time than that, but they almost have to put up this facade like they're working 40 hours a week. When it's like you could still make a livable living at like a
livable wage.
Yeah, livable. That's a lot fancier way to say it than livable living. You could certainly make a livable wage, and especially if you have like a sort of like an advanced degree sort of position.
Sure.
Where it's like, yeah, it's an advanced degree, but we only need
It'll
you
go
for
in there too. Oh no, it won't.
we only need you for I'm sorry, I'm wincing.
Jared's getting distracted.
We
by
only
the
need you for a
wasps
for
out
like
here.
for how much would that be if you take it for 32 hours a week, you know?
Right.
And you know that
Which is still technically full time, isn't it?
is it? I don't know what they do in
I
Germany.
don't remember what the cutoff is. At least for benefits,
But
right?
it's like if we were going to pay you $80,000, now we'd
Right.
pay you $60,000. Still,
would it be that big of a drop? Would it be?
I mean, I don't know what the exact what
Right.
the exact percentage
numbers
would be
are.
there.
Gotcha.
Probably not. Oh
Right.
my god.
But I do think this is a great idea for a lot of different
oh
reasons.
god. Why are you so calm? There's a please. Oh jeez, it's broken. Oh no, it's broken. Okay, there we go. I closed it and it still kept going.
You got to be calm, Jared.
Oh god, I'm so scared.
Why are you scared?
There's
man?
a hornet on me.
I mean, look.
I've never been stung by a bee, let alone a murderous
Really?
hornet.
I mean, it hurts, but it's not the end of the world.
Oh god.
Not the end of the world. Anyways,
Is it? I'm probably throwing it off with all my movement. It's like, what's
Probably.
this thing moving
You gotta
so
be-
much for?
you gotta stay
I don't
calm.
like podcasting outside anymore, dude.
Should we-
There's too much going on out here.
You want to move the
yeah,
move the
just
episode
I just
inside?
imagine a hard cut of the podcast, and then we're just sitting
back.
inside.
Yeah.
So anyway,
So, anyways, 4-day work week. But I think I agree with you. I think there are a lot of people, especially when they're talking to their boss, where they I think have this sense of pride of, oh yeah, I put in all this extra time or extra work.
burning the midnight oil.
Right, and I think, and look, I can tell you, week 2 of my new job, I've been working a lot and I've been working hard, but I try to keep it at 40 hours.
Yeah.
You know?
My partner takes like a proper lunch break for an hour. Oh yeah, it did go in there. You're right.
Yep.
I saw it. And that always kind of impresses me for some weird reason because I never do that. I always kind of eat through lunch and take like weird short breaks, you know.
Yeah, or I'll take this week. I've taken like a 25 to 30 minute lunch break a couple days, but the other days I had like consultations with faculty and meetings, and so it was like, all right, well, thankfully with the meetings I can turn my camera off and I'll eat while the meeting's happening.
My company is. Or at least I can't say my company, but the people I work with,
Your colleagues?
are okay with. Can I not call them the people I work with?
No, it's too inconsistent.
They're,
Too many words, Jared.
They're if you were to you'd get like those double blue lines on
Yep.
Microsoft Word. It'd be like you could just say colleagues. They're pretty good with not scheduling meetings from like. I don't know, 11 to 12:30 ish.
Okay.
Or excuse me, I should say from like 12. Maybe 11:30 to 1ish, I would say. And if they do, they're usually going to be some sort of meeting where you just show up and listen to. It's not usually going to be like an interactive
Right.
meeting that they'll schedule for that time.
Right. I will say this though, man. With a lot of these meetings, I need to be taking notes or doing something. Otherwise, I notice I zone out a little bit. But once again, it's this idea of sitting in front of a screen, And once again, you asked me about why do a once a week class. I think it's because there's something different, and that's why I like doing podcasts with you in person.
Sure.
Because it's different, when we've done, I would say the majority of our episodes we've done have been remote.
For sure.
Whereas it's just it's a conversation. When we do it remotely, I will get notifications and I get more distracted. Here we get distracted from the hornets and
Murder hornets. Is that
Right.
a hornet or a wasp?
shit. That's probably a wasp,
Okay.
I think.
And there's also a yellow jacket. That's another
Yes.
one too, but that's not a
Yes.
yellow jacket.
It's not. No, it has a different body. But yeah. But anyways, we were talking about Germany. Shout out to Germany for this. I think this 4-day work week to save thousands of jobs is a great idea for a couple of reasons. Number one, if it allows less people to be furloughed or laid off. So, for example, if I had to take a pay cut at my job so more people could stay at the university, faculty, or whatever, I'm going to be honest with you, I would take it.
Yeah.
I would take it.
Sure.
And it's
I mean,
not
you probably
that
wouldn't have a choice.
well, that's also true. I like what your company's doing with the whole they're paying you interest and they're,
I think that's rare, but I think
Right.
most companies, or not most, I can't say. A lot of companies are at least paying you back. But yeah, that I think what my company is doing is definitely rare.
Right.
But I definitely
You're at a huge corporation though too.
But yeah, that's true. And I did not feel when I was because they also did like a deferment thing. That's why they did the payback thing.
Right.
Like it didn't bother me at all because I was like, if it's either this or laying people off, I much rather prefer this. And yeah, it's not ideal, but it it's not like it puts everyone in sort of a slightly worse slightly worse. Like we're not all in bad financial. It puts people in a slightly worse financial situation, but temporarily, versus a bunch of random people getting laid off. Yeah, of course I would choose that.
Sure, absolutely. Well, Jared. Anyways, shout out to Germany and that workers' union advocating for the 4-day work week. I think that's really smart.
And I also like that too because if people it gives people. For people that aren't obsessed with work, which are a lot of European people, it gives them a lot more freedom to have legitimate income, but then also sort of have more flexibility to do what you want and have more free time.
Oh, absolutely.
And they're also, in general, in Germany. I can't speak for Europe, but I imagine it's similar in a lot of European countries. Just in general, there's a higher respect for a person's free time too.
Yeah. I would say so.
Like they don't. There's a lot less work-related contact happening outside of work.
Yeah, which I think can definitely be a good thing. Mm-hmm. Well, Jared, I think you know what time it is. It's time for some untranslatables, which are idioms, phrases, axioms that don't translate easily one-to-one into English. And some of these I think we should adopt into English because they are great phrases.
Yeah, I'm with you.
For sure. And I'll get us started today, Jared, with a Malaysian phrase. And it is cialat. And cialat means eat strength.
Eat strength. This is Malaysian, you said?
Yes.
Eat strength. Is that like to just buck up, like be tough is essentially what it's saying.
You know what? I'll give it to you.
Be fearless.
I'll give it to you. It means that something is very difficult.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you need to eat strength, I assume that means it's very difficult.
Distant a ham horn.
That's right. That's right. Distant ham horn. There we go.
That deserves a distant ham horn.
That's right.
My first one is Greenlandic, and it is Palasip Tunggana, only near the reverend or priest.
Oh, is this like... Okay, I have a couple ideas for this one. This one, I think, is a good visual one.
Yes, it is.
It's only by the... What is it? Only by the...
The reverend or priest.
Just
like the...
So it's like how someone acts when they're around certain people.
See, that is the obvious one.
Right.
And
it's not
but
that.
it's not it. But it actually is in a sense.
Is it to be two-faced?
No, it is in a sense how someone is acting. But it's something very specific that they're doing. And it's not even like a personality thing, but it's like it's sort of like a imagine if the reverend or if you're inviting the reverend or priest over, only around the reverend or priest. So you're inviting them to your house. That'll be my hint.
So you make things spotless, super clean. It's to like disguise something. I don't know what is it.
Kind of a mix of those two. It's really like clean, but only to like they like sweep stuff under like under the
visibly.
Yeah.
At face value, it's clean.
It looks clean, but you're just moving stuff. Like you open the closet and everything falls out.
Right. Okay. That's good. I like that one. I like that.
Yeah.
One.
That's like a common like sitcom trope if like the mother-in-law is coming over.
Put it under the couch or under the bed or in the closet. Yeah, and it all falls out.
No, don't open that.
Right. Yeah, or I forget what one it was, but they put a bunch of stuff like in the cushions in the couch.
Yes.
It was all lumpy. Yeah. Anyways, my next one for you today, Jared. Actually, my last one for you today is Norwegian, and it is avera papletten, which means to be on the spot.
On the spot. Is it just to like be quick-witted?
No. Like for example,
if
Jared,
someone needs your help, you're there for them. You're like, I got you. I'm there for you.
That's a good guess.
Right? Here. And you're like, hey, I really wish someone could help me. Hey, what? You need some help? I'm here for you. I'm Johnny on the spot. That's what I'm thinking of.
Okay.
Like Johnny on the spot is what I think of when I hear that.
You're really close, but it's a little different, I think.
Someone that always has an answer for something.
No, it's more about for example, so we tend to record these earlier morning podcasts, because of the heat and the sun and everything, since it's still summertime. And, I tell you, all right, are you coming at, whatever time we decide, and you're like, all right, I'll be there, and then, I'm here ready to go, and you're here ready to go, and I could be like, all right, we're on the spot.
Oh, it's just punctual.
It's to be where you need to be when you need to be there. Yeah.
Okay, so it's like it's not even being punctual, but it's like us sitting down here and looking. It's like, oh, there we are on the spot.
Like camera's good.
Yeah.
The digital audio interface is good. We're good to go. We are on the spot. Yeah.
Okay, I like that. We could. I kind of wouldn't mind
on the spot.
that.
It's a good one. Yeah, on the spot.
All right, I'll do one more. This is Afrikaans, and it's tweed eye sporty sport loop. I don't spoor. I don't know how you would say that. SPORE. How would you say that in Afrikaans?
Sport.
Yeah.
Do
they do the pronounce the E? I don't know. Walk in 2 lines.
Is it? And this isn't to multitask.
Is that what you think of when someone says I'm walking in 2 lines?
Oh no!
I bet the multitask I think they're doing is double fisting if they say they're walking in 2 lines.
Does it mean to just drink excessively?
It means to be drunk.
To be drunk. Oh, I like that one. Which I think is a good segue, Jared, into our topic today.
Is that what you're supposed to do during a gap year?
I mean, that's what some people do. That's what some people do.
Go ahead. No.
What I'd like to cover today, Jared, is I would like to cover at least some places where people tend to do gap years. Obviously, we did briefly mention what a gap year was, but also talk about what that is, because I think I do think that we need to give a gap year more credit than just the traditional year when someone graduates high school. Why can't you do a gap year if say you're working a job you really don't like, and you decide, you know what, I'm going to work this job and save some money and then go do a gap year.
Yeah, that's scary.
It is scary, but I think for some people it's exactly what they need.
I feel like us as Americans, not us, we're refined, cultured Americans that have traveled the world.
Okay, fair enough.
But
I was about to say speak for yourself, but
we definitely have traveled the world.
We have.
I feel like when just we as Americans hear gap year, we kind of sort of roll our eyes at it and think about it as like a Australian or a European thing. It's like those are for like those,
or South African too. I think they do gap years.
Do they think about, would that be a go-to example here in the U.S., South Africa? I don't know.
Probably not. But you're right about New Zealand or Australia or Europe for sure.
And it just feels like they're just like and it's almost like it's almost like we look at them as like hippies or something,
Right.
It's like going out, like it seems like, of course they're going to go off and quote unquote travel the world, or pretend like they're like that's where you see like the Tinder pics with the white girl with the little African kid or something like that.
Oh God. Or you see them, doing.
You've never seen people make fun of those. Of
course I have.
Oh, okay.
Of course I have. I've been on the internet once or twice, Jared.
I don't know, man.
I've been on the internet once or twice, but. Yeah, the thing about gap year, you're right. In the States, it does have this stigma of like
almost like laziness.
A little bit, but I think here's the thing. I think
or like
in
you're
the
not
States,
a smart person or something.
Right. Well, I think here in the States, a lot of people aren't, and I don't even think religious is the right term. I think there's also kind of the spiritual aspect to a gap year in some ways, where you're really young. You're still, a lot of people at least, a lot of, Europeans I know that do a gap year, they tend to do them at like 17, 18, or 19, right? So you're pretty young. It could be the first time you've ever been away from your friends and your family.
First time you've traveled, really.
Right. Which I think everyone needs to experience in life.
Yeah. And I mean, we always talk about, here in the U.S. too, we always talk about how people have like, no one is prepared for college, in the sense that nobody really knows what they want to do at the age of 18. No one's going into college.
You're too young. Most people don't.
And even the people that are going into college confident about what they do, let's survey them 5-10 years later and be like, one, are you happy doing what you do, or are you even doing what you thought you were going to be doing when you were in college?
Right.
Are you doing it? How similar is your job?
Right. Yeah. It's really interesting to think about. Just all the pressure we put on young people, not just in the States. I mean, trust me, I've seen it in China.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I've seen some kids in China that I don't know how they don't have a mental breakdown every day.
Well, that's why I also said, that's why I said like the European countries, because, and because like I think a lot of the Asian countries kind of have a different definitely don't have a gap year stereotype, but they have a stereotype of being worked too hard.
Right. Yeah. And I'm not sure. And the funny thing is that I do think a gap year, I could be wrong about this, so if any of our listeners from any Asian countries, please correct me on this, but I do have a feeling gap years tend to be more of a, like you said, like European, Australian, New Zealand,
South African.
South African, yeah. I mean, at least
Europeans, they're all Europeans at the end of the day.
Right. Well, a lot of South Africans can be.
Yeah, sure.
Traced back to Europe.
Well, see, maybe that's my bias.
Right.
When you say gap year and South African, I think of the white ones.
Right. Well, yeah. And those are the ones that I have met in Europe that were doing
yeah,
gap
I'm sure,
year.
yeah.
So, yeah. But I do think that the thing is that the importance of a gap year is to, I think, just experience things. Also, work some jobs that aren't good jobs. Work at a shitty hostel for a couple months,
See, that's the thing I never understood, too, about the gap years. How do people afford to just travel like that?
You find a job. You find
Right.
But see, the tricky thing with a gap year, too, is
You have to start with
the
some money,
paperwork.
though.
Well, and that's the thing. That's why I mentioned that a lot of gap years, we assume, at least for me as an American, when I hear the term gap year, I think of a young person graduating high school, going somewhere for a year either, and it could be anything. It could be volunteer work, it could be teaching, it could be, doing some type of, waiting tables, anything.
I generally think of someone that's also like financially well off. Now, maybe that's wrong.
I don't think that's true.
But that tends to be what I think of. If someone that can afford to just not do anything. Not do anything.
Right.
I love how unless you're like going to college to get a job or working, you're not doing anything. But it's like,
which is, definitely not true.
like that's sort of
That's the stigma.
those are sort of the options.
Right.
You either get a job, go to college, or you don't do anything.
Right. Which is totally what people do, Jared. Obviously.
Those are the options.
Right. The millions of stories of people in the world, they either do nothing or they go to college.
And so when I think of someone that is taking a gap year, and now this is, I'm not saying this is what it is, obviously. I'm just saying that this is sort of like the stereotype of it in my head. I just think of someone that can afford to not progress in their career for a year because they're just being financially supported.
Okay.
And it's like, they're working at it. Yeah, they're paying for some of their own meals, and they're paying for some of their own shit with their minimum wage job, but this is minimum wage in Thailand or whatever. I don't know. So they're like, but that's not really enough to really support themselves.
Okay, yeah. I agree with everything you say, but...
Oh, God, I shouldn't have slapped it.
But what'd you slap?
A B.
Oh, nice.
I hate it.
Anyways.
Oh, God.
Anyways, I think there's a couple issues, though, with what you're saying as well, though, Jared. So,
okay.
So
next time I'm just going to wear like a full long sleeve everything.
Maybe if you just wear a black and yellow striped shirt.
Is that good?
They'll think you're the homie and they won't bug you.
No, they'll come hang out and be like, oh, look, it's a pal.
Maybe.
It's the queen.
Maybe we need to find out whatever the direct enemy of a bee is, and you can wear whatever color that is.
It's gonna come in some mono color thing.
Or we could just order you a beekeeper outfit, and you could wear that while we do that.
That works too.
You could.
But a wasp. But I'm seeing these wasps. The wasp will find a way in.
That's true. That is true. They're sneaky. They're sneaky. Anyways, though, some things I think that are a little bit wrong about what you were saying were, for example,
about having money.
Not wrong necessarily, but I guess a different perspective on it. Let me put it that way. So I do agree with you that if you look at progressing your career, if you take a gap year, I think directly it might not progress your career, but I think it might teach you some skills or teach you some things about yourself that in the long term can really project your career.
Sure.
For example, if you do a year of volunteer work in a country, right? Okay, you're not going to come back probably very financially stable, right? You're not going to make a profit.
But you have a great Tinder pic to show that
an amazing Tinder
caring.
pic, number one. Number two, though, just think about all of the people skills you might learn, and then you figure out, oh, I'm good at this, I'm good at that. For a lot of young people, they don't know what their skills are, and I think you can develop some of those skills in a lower risk environment, right? If you're volunteering, I think it's a different type of way to learn how to work with people than if you start a corporate 9-to-5 job. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that.
No, I understand what you're saying.
But
I understand what you're saying.
You know what I mean? But
there's definitely a benefit to it in
Right.
your progress as a human.
Exactly, and I think that's the thing. A lot of Americans, we view college and we view things very career-oriented, which isn't a bad thing, but I think when I look at a gap year, it's more about just finances and career and stuff. It's about the journey of life. I know it sounds cheesy and corny, but it's true.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's true. This has nothing to do with making money, which is so hard for us Americans to
disassociate that, right? And that's why I never took a gap year, though, is because I was thinking of it at a financial.
Did you actually consider taking a gap year? It never
Yeah.
crossed my mind.
Yeah, it did, but at the same time, I thought about it more after I graduated from undergrad. Just taking a gap year and but see there it's
But then you
also-
could still get a pretty good job.
ideally that's kind of what I did with the Fulbright in the Czech Republic a
true.
little bit. But it was also a different mission and a different purpose.
Yeah.
That's what at least I felt I was there not as a gap year, but I was there
Yeah, I guess it's interesting. I feel like I can't help but focus the conversation around making money and the goal of making money. I guess I never really realized that.
Well-
It all goes back to cutting into money making time.
And I will tell you and to all of our listeners up front, I did not come back from the Fulbright, rich by any means. I had a little bit in savings, not very much. I'll be completely honest, but I didn't do the Fulbright for money. I did it because I wanted to live in a different country. I wanted to experience Czech culture and learn a little bit of Czech language.
Sure.
There were a lot of different things, but I think with a gap year, when we talk about like a high school student that they just graduate high school, the advantage is they most likely don't have anything, pinning them down, right? They're not married. They probably don't. Most high schoolers probably don't have kids. I could be wrong, but I think a lot of them, you're not married, you don't have kids, you don't have any student loan debt yet. If you're talking to our Americans out here, you don't have any student loan debt, right? Mm-hmm. So I mean, really, this is probably one of the
graduation money. You get graduation money,
which depending on could be a lot, could be not very much, but
yeah, that's true.
But anyways, I mean, that is kind of the time
Once again,
when
I'm thinking of rich kids, so I'm thinking of all their rich friends.
But I guess I know a lot of Germans and some Spaniards and stuff that were middle class that did a gap year,
right?
Sure. And a lot of gap year though stuff is volunteer work, or it is something that isn't necessarily a glamorous job. But I think for 6 months, 8 months, a year, I think the life lessons you learn during that gap year make it worth more money than you could make as a high school graduate.
And in the grand scheme of things, whether it's between grad school or between high school and college, taking a year off means nothing. Starting college a year later means nothing.
And that's the thing is, I thought it was so monumental.
No one would even notice.
Right. That's the thing. And I think the other thing is I think it might actually make you more marketable in some ways. Because think about it. Okay, you're hiring.
A year makes a big difference. You're definitely more mature probably than
not only you're more
your
mature,
freshman.
you've learned life skills.
Yeah.
You've been put in situations that make you uncomfortable, that aren't easy, and you learn how to deal with that. I will tell you, Jared, there was plenty of adversity in China and the Czech Republic.
Oh man, I can imagine rolling my eyes at this kid, like the cool kid that took a gap year and is always talking about their travels to Europe.
Right.
And they they drink wine.
You need a balance. You don't want to be that person, because I think there are some people that take that gap year and run. It would be like
it's sort of like the study abroad person, where it's like, oh, I've experienced Europe, and so
it would be like if I only drank Pilsner Urquell. And I only,
Oh yeah,
stuff
it's like
that,
these IPAs are fancy fake beers. How dare you? Besmirch.
But at the same time, I do think gap years offer so much value, and I think for a lot of people, it could be kind of a good either find yourself option or a good reset button. Like I've thought about, Jared. This may sound like a crazy idea, but I don't know what my, after my contract is up. After the spring semester, who knows what I'll be doing, right? I'm technically a free agent at that point.
What would you do to clear your mind? What would be your clear your mind activity?
If I did a gap year or a gap, I would probably try to do maybe 6 months, do 3 months in Asia and 3 months in, maybe not, 3 months in Asia or South America and then 3 months in Europe.
What would you do?
Either volunteering.
Okay. Because that's also the thing I don't can't fully wrap my head around is like the people that backpack for like months. It's like, yeah, but you got to do something. I mean, you can't just travel and party for. Right. I mean, you can, but that seems like it could get old. Fast.
I think it would get old very fast. For me, I think it would be very easy to also teach students, get some type of clientele base,
but like not like just teaching almost as like a way to immerse yourself into the culture and just like make some bucks.
Just a way to sustain my be able to put food in my belly, clothes on my back.
That would still look good on a resume, and that could still.
But once again, I think volunteer work for a gap year. Now, obviously, if you just say you're backpacking and in Europe and partying, then sure, that's not.
I found the finest ladies across Europe and Asia.
right. Exactly.
Sir, this is an interview.
Right. I'm telling you, I have developed very good people skills. I'm a good team worker. I can manage many tasks at once.
I can work in large groups.
Exactly. So, but all jokes aside, though, Jared, I do think the thing about a gap year is to just push yourself in ways you haven't before. Because I think if you do anything for too long, unless you are continuously leveling up, like I can tell you very confidently right now, Jared, with my job, I'm leveling up all the time.
Yeah.
I'm learning more about faculty than I've ever learned. I'm learning more about the psyche of teaching, especially because I'm working with people who have been teaching for decades longer than I have. Right now, like in terms of like formal teaching, I can say I've got 6 years under my belt, right?
Yeah.
That's
you're out of like the entry level category.
Right, but at the same time, it's still nowhere close to 10 years, 15 years, 20 years of teaching. Just the amount of experience and knowledge you get. But once again, I feel like I'm leveling up, right? But I think with a gap year, you can also do that in a way. If you're just backpacking or partying, then what's the point, right?
It seems more, and once again, I'm coming from the American professional side of it, and you're coming from the find yourself and get to know who you are side.
Which isn't a bad thing. It's good to have both perspectives.
It seems like as a teacher, I could see a lot of professional benefits to doing something like that. And I could see a lot of opportunities for you to do that sort of thing where really you are, just trying to quote unquote find yourself, and you are spending a lot of time partying, but and just like exploring, but you are also like volunteering, 3 days a week and getting paid sort of, scrap essentially.
Right.
And being able to spin that into like a great teaching experience that you could have. I was in a different culture. I learned how to, I learned the teaching doesn't require a lot of fancy shit, and it's about the people and all that.
It is. I mean, it is. It's true though,
Jared. You're supposed to say in an interview.
It's true.
But I wonder how I could translate that to like a business setting,
right.
Whether it be some sort of finance job or some sort of marketing
job. It's all how you spin it. I mean, think about you.
What could I do?
You could go to, I don't know.
I guess I could work for like a nonprofit or something.
Not only that, but you could offer whatever business skills you have to local businesses. You could say, I see that you have, I don't know how you would put this nicely.
That seems so like American.
It is.
Can you do math?
Well, that's not what I'm saying, Jared. I'm saying you'd offer your services as like, well, I've noticed that you have this great menu, but you don't really have an online presence. Could I help you with that? And then
like make them a website for free or something,
right? Or help them with customer service or something. I think everyone on this earth has some value they can give to others. So you have to figure out what value can you provide, right? How can you help someone else? How can you solve their problems or make their lives easier? And you could easily do that by volunteering for a gap year, teaching. I also think like business internships are a great idea for a gap year or a gap. A gap time period.
But is that a gap year if you're still kind of if you're doing an internship? Because an internship is almost a job. Kind of essentially
it is a job. It is a job.
Unpaid job. Or you guess it could be paid too.
I would suggest all of our listeners, I would recommend trying to find a paid internship if you can.
Me too. But especially if you're in the business industry world.
But still, I think the difference is you might be working in a field you haven't worked before. Yes, it's still business, but maybe you are working in a different field, right? So you work in the automotive industry, right, Jared? Maybe you do a gap year and you work for a tech company, and then you realize, I would say you're pretty good with tech. Then you realize like, oh, I'm really good at this specific thing
I'm
related
interested
to
in
tech
this too. Yeah.
Right. And then because for me, that's really how I think I found my place in a lot of ways as a teacher and wanting to become a teacher trainer. Because
so you have to be willing, almost like that, like willing to take multiple steps backwards and be like, let me not worry about money right now and worry about what I'm interested in.
Yes.
And I guess that's part of that finding yourself,
Exactly.
It's like, well, yes, I'm going to be working, but it'll be an internship, so it'll be like very 9 to 5, if that. And I just want to be able to actually really figure out who. I guess so, but I still just wouldn't call it a gap year if I'm doing an internship.
Well, it's all about how you define a gap year.
Is gap year in your definition just like taking a break in education?
I would say no. I would say a gap year is when you specifically move or go somewhere and it doesn't have to be a year. It could be 6 months, 8 months, just a gap.
Do you have to leave your home for a proper gap year?
Yes.
Okay.
I think you have to be in a different environment. I think you need to try new things. In order for it to really be kind of a gap year, go to a new place, try new things.
For a proper gap year, there has to be some sort of challenge involved here. You can't just be like living with your parents at home.
I think the key for a gap year for me is growth. Personal growth, spiritual growth. It could be financial growth in a longer scheme of things. For example, say you
you're talking my language.
Say I'm trying exactly, Jared. I'm trying to get you more to be a believer in this gap year here, Jared. For example, you do a gap year abroad somewhere, either an internship or even a new job, but the contract is only for a year. Right? That's really what I would define as a gap year is you have a clear cut, I will be here from here to here, and then what you decide after that can be up to you, right? So my contract is done in this month. If I love the country enough and I can find a job, then maybe I will stay or I move somewhere else, right?
So if I've been telling you about moving to Germany or whatever, if I do that and after like a year I'm like, that was fun, but I think I want to be in the US, did I just do a gap year?
I think you could. It depends on how you define it, right?
Yeah.
I think
it feels weird. I don't know. It would feel weird for me to come back after a year as I guess at that point, 30-year-old and be like,
I would say
I just took a gap year in Germany.
I would say it would be a gap year if
I worked. Yeah, no, I had a full-time job.
Right.
I was finding myself.
I would say maybe if you tried something completely different and then you came back and then you continue doing what you were doing before that. To me, that gives more of a gap year-ish vibe.
But what if I did find something else I fell in love with, and it's like, actually, I want to keep doing something like this in a more serious capacity.
Then you could say, well, I think once again, it depends on your intentions, right? To me, a gap year is like, I see myself in this place for a year or 6 months or whatever, and then I move on and go do something, right?
Okay, so there's a very clear cut.
To me, there is, yeah.
Leaving your house to go on this challenge,
on this journey,
and then coming back to whatever that base is for you, or
leveling up to something
right,
better.
or it's like, all right. Now that I did this, I'm gonna get a job at this place and just go back to my normal sort of career.
Because I will say, if you say you move to Germany and you're working full time, but then you keep that same job for 10 or 15 years, then obviously it's not a gap year.
Yeah.
Right,
That's
but then say you took a job in Germany, say you get a job in Dusseldorf, right? Working for a big car company there, or Bavaria, right? You do a year there, and
I don't think there's anything in Dusseldorf.
You realize, right? There probably isn't. Well,
there's not any car companies in Dusseldorf.
That's true, but you could probably work. I'm sure they have a Porsche dealership there or something. You can do something car affiliated.
Yeah.
Anyways, my
point
here, Jared, is that you would do that, and then if it was like a gap year, it would be like a year-long contract, right? You were contracted for this project, this job for a year, and then you realize, like, oh, wow, I'm kicking ass at this job. I like German culture. This is good. Then you apply for a better job, and then you get that better job, right? Then I would say that's more gap year-ish. Where, I think the whole point of a gap year
is it turns out I actually do like it. I found myself and realized that I belong in Germany.
Exactly.
And so now I'm going to find like a proper career or life or whatever here.
And I do think gap years can definitely lead to that. Like, I will tell you.
That's kind of the point of them, as you said, finding yourself.
Right, because there have been plenty of days, Jared, when I ask myself, I wonder, should I have stayed in the Czech Republic? Now, obviously, we'll never know, and I'm happy the way things have turned out. I'm very thankful. I'm very fortunate, but I have to say...
You don't think that about China? I mean, is it because you didn't really have that opportunity?
Yes and no. I think China, it's just such a different place, and I love China, but it's just such a different place that I think it would have been easier for me to fit in and live in the Czech Republic long term than China.
Right. It's harder for you. It takes longer, I should say, for you to get comfortable in China and feel like you're home just because of the bigger culture shock.
Not only the culture shock, but just it's further away from the States. It's harder to just physically move from, this whole pandemic.
You can feel that like when being in China versus Czech Republic,
I think
that you're much further away from home.
I think so. I just think of the fact that in the Czech Republic, I can either take a train to Germany or Paris and be back in the States within 8 hours.
Okay. So you're not fully outside of your comfort zone.
I think
it's like, I have
this
access to something that's very that's like to something that I can recognize and manage.
Right. Whereas when you are literally completely across on the other side of the world, it is a different feeling for sure.
No matter where I go in this area, I feel lost.
Right. And me being a white guy in China, you stick out like a sore thumb.
Yeah, that gets old. I can imagine.
It does. And
the staring.
Right. So, but I do think it's good to experience things like that because I never really experienced feeling like an outsider to that level until I went to China. Mm-hmm. And it teaches things about yourself. It teaches you how to be in different situations, be in uncomfortable situations. How to interact with people. And I think a lot of young people, they're just told and
helps you empathize a bit with other people.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think a lot of young people, they're told, you go to high school, then you go to college, you get a job. That's kind of this progression of life. But I think why do we have to put everyone in that track?
And why are we in such a rush? Because
exactly,
as I said before, like really, what's the difference?
Right.
Between starting college at 18 versus 19.
Right. And what I've noticed the most in my life, Jared, and what I've noticed is I only have really a few close friends, really. Mm-hmm. Like people and you are one of them.
Oh.
Not to try to flatter you here, Jared, but you are one of them. But my point is that I think gap years and time abroad changes you. And a lot of people who aren't your true friends, they won't be cool with that change.
Everyone needs to, at some point, I would say, go through the process of shedding some of the high school friends.
Yeah.
Like some of those friends that you're just friends with because you were friends with them before, but it's like as you meet new people and experience new experiences, you're like, I don't know if I really like this person. And maybe a gap year, especially abroad in a different country or different major city, can quickly help you realize, what your priorities are. Let me ask you this. I just thought of something. Could a gap year be domestic? Like, say I'm from, little old Clarkston, Michigan. If I were to say I'm going to do a gap year in New York.
Yep.
Okay.
I would say so. Yeah. I don't think it has to be international. I think that is a common misconception. A lot of people assume a gap year. I think it just has to be a new place where you don't really know anybody.
Going from Clarkston to New York would be just about as big of a culture shock as going from like Clarkston to I don't know, Dusseldorf, for
anywhere.
example.
Yeah,
it's probably
anywhere.
Less of a culture shock because Dusseldorf. I was just in a suburb there,
right?
And so okay, that's fair. It's just the culture. It's just once again challenging your limits.
Yeah, and trying to grow. You know, I think a lot of people, obviously the whole point of and the reason why we tell people, do well in school, go to college, get a good job is because you're learning skills. In theory, the whole point of college and the whole point of high school is to become more educated, smarter, learn more skills, right? But I can tell you, as someone who works in education, but also has, is an adult, you learn a lot more, I think, from life than you do just from the classroom.
Have you ever taught a gap year kid? Can you smell gap year on a kid? Like, oh, this kid's smart. This kid's got some street smarts on him.
I have had students for sure where I can tell they have street smarts.
I can imagine.
I've had students in China that I talked to
you're kind of scared of?
Not scared of, but I think you have a different level of respect for them.
Yeah.
Because,
this person knows how to handle themselves.
Right. Because I don't think everyone can be book smart, but I do think anyone in theory could memorize and regurgitate facts and stuff. Whereas being able to take
different talent.
Right. Yeah. Whereas I think street smarts are really looking at a situation and knowing how to properly react to it.
Sort of being able to establish your place in a situation.
Right.
And not sort of just being able to handle yourself in any situation,
Right.
and not sort of be like the odd person out or like show signs of weakness,
and I don't want to sound like an old man here, Jared, but I do think a
please.
lot of young people, they are too entitled, they're too spoon-fed, and I'll be honest.
Okay, boomer.
I know, right? I'll be honest.
I didn't realize you were gonna go that old school with it.
That's why I said that. But my parents have given me an amazing life. But a lot of stuff I've had to work for. A lot of my music equipment that I have, my parents didn't buy that. I
Sure.
worked.
I mean, you had a job. You had a job.
I started working
high
at 15.
school, yeah.
At 15, before a lot of my friends started working. And I thank my parents actually for kind of being on my ass and being like, look, if you want a car and you want these things, you need to work.
Yeah.
Because a lot of parents, I think, say, well, school needs to be your first priority, which is fine. But, I think you need to learn how to balance things in life, too.
Yeah.
But I think that's also the beauty of a gap year is it humbles you. You can be big man on campus or the popular kid or whatever, but the moment you go to a country where you don't know any
You're
or a
a
city,
nobody. Yes,
you're
you need
nobody.
to be a nobody.
You do.
Yeah.
I think you do because it allows you to really.
And you can kind of tell those people that never really left their hometown. Like they got that. Like they're too familiar when they go into local bars and shit. You can just tell that person that's just like you're too comfortable. You need to get out a little bit.
Yeah. And I think the other thing with a gap year is you learn so much along the way that you just have no idea about.
Yeah.
Just for me, for example, I think, Jared is a great person to talk about this with because you've known me since we really had our first wasn't a gap year, but our study abroad.
Yeah.
And I can't really comment
where you
about
found
you.
yourself?
I didn't find myself, but I grew up a lot.
Yeah.
I know I give you shit for this all the time, but I really wish you would have been there second semester because I think second semester, that's when the real growth, I think, really started to happen.
Yeah, you start to get more comfortable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I was going to places, it helped too, it sounds kind of bro-y, but I bought that longboard that I still have with me today. But I got off the beaten
finds
path.
themselves, they end up on a longboard.
A longboard,
somehow.
a surfboard, but it's all about going and experiencing new things. I mean, we can joke about it, but there is some truth to it.
Yeah.
There is a reason why.
Yeah, I mean, because you got comfortable. You no longer felt like you were, because I feel like that at least in the first half, at least it felt like you're sort of on vacation.
I would say this though, Jared. It wasn't that I got comfortable. It was I got comfortable being uncomfortable.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's insightful, Chad.
I'm serious though. I laugh all you want, Jared, but it's really true. I wasn't afraid to go out to new places. I mean, I really don't think I would have gone to China if I wouldn't have done that study abroad year.
Sure.
The idea.
I get that.
The idea, I remember talking to my mom about, she said, I have no idea how you do it. And I was like, what do you mean? And she was like, just going to a different country. And, obviously, yeah, I go when I have a job lined up. But still, it's still definitely, it's not for everybody, but I do think everyone could gain from that experience.
Right. And everyone could gain from obviously they don't have to do it to your level where you're just showing up in a random city every year or whatever.
Right.
But
I'm trying to not do that now, Jared. I'm trying to lay down some more roots.
And the thing about the way you do it too is you don't even go to like Prague and Beijing. Like they just drop you, like you just go to whatever sort of small town they drop you in.
Because I think in some ways it's a I don't want to say it's a better it's just a different experience.
I mean, it's a pure cultural experience, as stupid as that sounds.
Right.
There's less input from, and it's so weird to say because obviously input from other cultures is great and it makes a lot of places great. But it does, like, for example, it's hard to get like a great, I feel like it's hard to really experience German culture in Berlin, where like half the people are speaking English to you because they're not even German.
Right.
Well,
I think with Berlin you get Berlin culture.
Yes, for sure. It is a very distinct cultural experience.
Right.
But it doesn't feel like you're in Germany.
Oh
really.
Man, I love Berlin.
I love it too, and I'm not trying to downplay the cultural experience because it definitely has its own culture. But it doesn't really. You don't feel like you're in like a traditional German city by any means.
Right. Well, at least that stereotypical picturesque fairy tale type of German town. You're right.
The hills are alive. Kind of thing.
Right. But yeah, I think gap years though, I think in the States we need to one, let people know that there are different programs out there, right? Like the Fulbright, Peace Corps. There's a lot of different government programs that I think are good. They also look good on a resume.
To do Fulbright, like, could I do Fulbright? Or do you have to have teaching experience?
You probably wouldn't get selected if you tried something teaching related just because...
They have other Fulbright programs that are teaching?
I mean, you could do...
Oh, I thought it was specifically a teaching thing.
Well, see, for you would probably need a master's or a PhD, and then you would have to do some type of research. I mean, it's scholarly.
So it have to be more... Oh, right. It has to be
scholarly.
Okay,
For you, something that would probably be smarter if you wanted to do a gap year through an organization like this might be Peace Corps. And
that's where I just go take pictures with the little children.
I mean, could be. Depends where you go. Peace Corps is all over.
I wonder.
the place.
I feel like those pictures don't hit the same when a black American or something does it, and they have within like an African kid. I just imagine someone being like, "Oh, is that your brother?" It's like, no, I did a gap year.
Right.
This is me helping the community. This is helping the community at large. All right. Do you want to do the song of the pod?
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, so our song of the pod today, we actually had them on as...
Aren't you going to play it so we can listen to it while...
I am, yeah.
We had one of the guys...
Keep talking.
Oh, I thought you were going we had one of the guys on because he featured in a Tom Misch song that we had on before. I don't remember what the song was, to be honest with you.
I'm not sure either, but this one is a good one. I thought you were going to play it through...
I thought you were going to play it so we can hear it through your headphones. Oh, you want me to play it for the people?
Oh, that's a better idea. Play it through our headphones. Smart, Jared. Smart. This is why you make the big bucks, Jared. This is why you make the big bucks.
See, there it is. Right. So yeah, it's got.
I'm going to turn us down just to be safe.
It's got some serious, because it got some serious Pink Floyd vibes. I was about to say it's got some serious Pink Floyd vibes. It's a 12-minute song, almost exactly. I think it's like 11:57 or something like that. They don't start singing, or they don't start singing until this is part of it. For some reason, I don't know why it starts like this.
Yeah, the music video, it's someone putting a couple. It looks like either some coffee mugs or some tea.
Can you say the title of it too? By the way,
absolutely. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, this is from Michael Kiwanuka, Cold Little Heart, and at least the video I'm looking at here, it's a live
He's just handing
video.
the band tea, I imagine.
Yep, looks like it. Looks like we got a nice little Fender tube amp back there. Yeah, we got some cool keys.
And I love this style right here. Mm-hmm. This is almost kind of like how I like to do our podcast, where you do that sort of... I love that they start it with them just bringing in coffee or tea or whatever for them, and then they're just like, all right, let's start playing. I don't know. I love the cold intro, cold opens.
Right,
I believe is what they would call that.
I mean that's why I kind of like them now with our podcast too. Is,
I love
just
a cold
talking.
Open.
Yeah, and and so the song starts off with some like really interesting kind of synth or organ sounds. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it does sound. I remember when Jared started playing this.
Build.
Yeah. When Jared started playing this, I walked outside and I was like, "What is this?" In the beginning, it does have this kind of interesting, sucks you in.
Yeah. It is very whatever synth number that is on his little keyboard there. It is very intoxicating. And we can't just sit here and listen to this because it's going to take
12 minutes,
and it's going to take another 3 minutes before anything new happens.
Right, but the synth intro is pretty long.
And see, and so what
we're at
about 3 minutes, and it seems like the guitar's just coming in now.
Mm-hmm. But what's cool about this, as you mentioned, Jared, is it's kind of this long build. Oh wow, he's got a Fender Champ. It looks like he's got some a Supro. He's got some good amps, Jared.
All right,
this guy
got
knows
good
his
stuff. He's got good gear,
and he's playing. And he plays.
Know.
I didn't realize this now, but he's actually playing a slide. If you look, he's playing a slide, which makes sense. But what's interesting is David Gilmour, the guitar player from Pink Floyd, he plays a lot of bends, which bends on a guitar are like
harder
a thing
than
you
slides?
do. Well, no, you do bends to kind of imitate the sound of a slide.
Okay.
So now it makes sense now why this really seems Pink Floyd-y, because it has that kind of high up melodic. I don't want to say whiny because it's not whiny, but it's like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like expressive kind of. It sounds voice-like.
Very legato.
Yeah. Yeah, and then there's a couple backup singers singing, some oohs and ahs.
Ooh, ah.
finally get the bass coming in at like 4 minutes, basically. but that's the beauty of this whole song is it's
and the bass coming in, by the way, is the bass is going dong.
yeah, it's just a couple notes, like whole notes held exactly.
But then if you go to like 8 minutes, just so we can get the crescendo
vocals,
of it. Oh, the drums just came in, by the way. Okay, actually, it's more like it's not okay. It's after that then.
But
so we're at about.
We're
6:35,
about 6.5 minutes.
It seems like they're about close to the full singing happening.
When the whole band starts,
like
right? And then the
that.
drums kick in too again. The beauty of this song too is it just has so many layers.
And it
takes you on a journey. It does.
It all seems so like I don't know, it's very smooth.
And it's on the spot, Jared. Everyone who's in this band, right. Everyone in this band though, they're there when and
that?
where they
7
need to
minutes where they start singing?
I think so, yeah. Yeah, 7 minutes.
Yep.
Yeah, but this is just a fantastic song. And it goes from Pink Floyd-esque to, like, got this kind of soulful, kind of funkish kind of feel to it.
But it still has a Pink Floyd-y sound.
It does.
Like this doesn't sound like something Pink... Because they kind of go bluesy sometimes, too, when they actually
for sure.
start singing.
Yeah. Bluesy, a little jazzy in some aspects.
Yeah. Like this kind of reminds me of the song that we were talking about. I can't remember what it's called now. That Pink Floyd
Great
song.
Gig in the Sky.
Because then at the end it's like taking I don't know. It's kind of got a similar vibe to me.
Right. Yeah. Just rhythmically, it has a lot going on as it builds from the synth and everything else. It's really something.
I feel you. It was a good choice. Kind of a random choice. I don't remember how we found it.
It was a great find, though,
I'm glad
Jared.
we did.
Great find. So check that out on our YouTube Song of the Pod playlist.
You betcha.
Michael Kiwanuka, Cold Little Heart. You won't be disappointed. That's for sure. That is for sure. Well, Jared, let's recap today's episode. That's interesting.
First of all, it's not always about money. That's one thing.
Yep, big thing. Yeah, gap years. I think gap years, like I said, and
It's never about money. Actually.
I think I've actually convinced you. I think I've brought you over to my side a little bit, Jared.
I think you have. Yeah.
I think I've changed your perspective. A
Yeah.
little.
I think it's so easy, especially. It's so easy to get stuck in a rut with what you do, whether that be just as you said, go through the high school, college job kind of thing,
right?
Or just like you do a job and it's like, all right, this is what I do now, and I'm kind of stuck in it. I think everyone needs to have a time to freely assess what it is they're doing in their life and how they feel about it, And I think that's sort of what a gap year is about, is letting you really put into perspective what it is that's important to you in life.
Right. And also, too, if you're young, and if we have any young listeners out there, if you're young and you don't have a plan, what do you really have to lose if you do a gap year? I think there's so much
you don't
to
have anything
gain.
anyway.
Exactly.
But I guess they still need to somehow put together enough money to even buy the initial.
Well, the key with a gap year is you need to have a plan. You can't just say, all right, I'm going to move to Brazil for a year and I'm going to bounce. You need to have a plan.
That's true.
But there are a lot of different places, different volunteer organizations. If you just Google work abroad or volunteer abroad, there are so many different organizations out there.
Yeah, that's true.
And I will say to all of our American listeners out there, I think some great places for gap years. I think people need to actually think a lot more about Asian countries, to be honest. And I don't even mean like China or Korea. I mean like Malaysia, Indonesia, places that
Ulaanbaatar,
Mongolia. Sure, yeah. I think.
Could you hit a few of them in a couple? Is that possible?
Yeah, I think you could
do a trip around that area.
Well, and the reason why I say Asian countries are good for a gap year is because I think there is a lot of opportunity in a lot of different countries there. You do need to look and make sure you can figure out the visa situation and things like that.
Are they also sort of underserved? And by underserved, I mean like they're not like the go-to sort of popular places on like South America or something.
Right. Well, and see, that's the thing. I think people need to really look hard, long and hard, and decide where you want to go. Because going to Paris for a gap year, I'm sure is great. But I think you might learn even more going to a place that isn't this bustling metropolitan city.
You're not really testing your. Honestly, I feel like an American going to New York would test their limits more than going to like Paris or something.
Yeah, I would agree.
There's just more. I don't know. I just feel like there's more sort of like adversity.
Yeah. Well, and see, that's the thing with a gap year. I think the thing that is good about a gap year is the adversity you face because it causes you to grow and learn. I mean, there's no way about it. I mean, you either learn from it and you grow from it, I guess, or you come back to the States or your home country, packing your bags with your tail between your legs.
Essentially, it's just like you need to test your comfort, you test your limits every now and again, essentially.
Yeah.
And this is sort of your first opportunity. Maybe not. Yeah, kind of like gap year to me is sort of like your first opportunity to figure out what those limits are.
Right. Correct. So yeah, I think more people need to consider gap year. Obviously, the older you get, I will say I think the less feasible a legit gap year would be.
You have more responsibilities.
Exactly. You know, you have bills. You have a full-time job most likely. You might have kids. You might have a husband or a wife. You know, family you have to take care of too, other than just your kids. Maybe you have older parents. You know, I mean, there's a lot. But that's why I think if you have the opportunity to take a gap year, I do think it's very easy sometimes to look at, especially at financially, and think, oh, this is a bad decision. But I can tell you, man, if I for sure could have found a job that I would have made a lot more money than the Fulbright when I graduated from MSU, I'm sure. You know, it might have taken a few months to find something, but I'm sure I could have found something. But the thing is that I
that life
learned,
experience is priceless.
It is. I know it's cheesy, but it's true, man.
I believe you.
It really is.
You've changed my mind.
Good. I'm glad.
Very good.
I'm glad. Well, hopefully we've broadened some other perspectives and horizons on gap years. But yeah, make sure you do your homework beforehand. You shouldn't just be jumping into a situation. Don't put yourself in a vulnerable position as well, because you already kind of are going to a new country where you don't know someone. It can be very draining on your energy, your spirituality, your mental health if you're not accustomed to that. It's not for everyone.
Just because you're challenging yourself doesn't mean you have to just overwhelm yourself to the point of like anxiety or something.
Right. So make sure you do your homework, people. Look and see what opportunities there are. I mean, if you are a native English speaker, I can tell you there are still a lot of countries where you can either volunteer or find an okay job as an English teacher, and that will also support you getting the necessary documents, you know, a visa, a residency permit, things like this, right? Now, the beauty of doing a gap year where you might travel, though, Jared, is you might not have to worry as much about the bureaucratic red tape. Because, for example, say I want to go teach in Asia for a few months and I just want to volunteer, I guarantee you I could go to Indonesia, post some flyers, or do some type of just very basic low-level marketing. I could find a few students that I could teach or volunteer, offer a fair price for my time, right? The whole point of a gap year for me would not be to gouge these people of their money, but to give them my good services at a fair local price that would help me live in that country. You know, Jared's laughing right now, but I do think it's true. You know, I will tell you, the students I've had in Russia, I'm not making very much money off of them. You know, I'm charging what is a fair price over there. You know, and it's not, I will be honest, it's not one-to-one equal to what I could be earning in the States. So don't always have money be your only motivator when considering a gap year, but you do need to be cognizant and aware of your finances so you can feasibly make it happen. So if you have other questions about a gap year, feel free to let us know at untranslatablepodcast@gmail.com. We'd be happy to give you any other tips or advice that you need. Also, you can find us on Twitter, Untranslatable1, the number 1. Check us out for any good retweets of stuff. You can also find links to our episodes there. And if you want to hear some great music, check us out on YouTube, Untranslatable Podcast, at the Song of the Pod playlist. If you want to hear Cold Little Heart by Michael, I believe it was
Kiwanuka, I believe, or something like
Kiwanuka.
that.
Yes, Kiwanuka, yes. So check that out. And lastly, please, 5-star reviews on iTunes and Stitcher. Let us know how we can make this podcast better for you. So as we say here at the Untranslatable Podcast, Dziękujemy, muchas gracias, shisha, and do svidania. I think Jared's going to up and quit his business now after this episode. He's going to do a gap year, people. The Instagram is going to be ultra popping.
Yeah, you think
it's crazy. I know so.
I'm going to
get a text message from you in a month like, well, you know what? You planted the seed. I'm doing it.
I'm going to have
We're moving to some crazy island somewhere in the middle of nowhere.
Every picture of me I'm going to post is going to be shirtless.
Going to Fiji. It's just you on
a six-pack.
You're right. You're just in a lawn chair or one of those like comfy beach chairs with your feet and like a cocktail.
Like the hot dog leg pictures?
Yep, exactly. You've been biking and playing soccer, Jared, so we'll know those aren't hot dogs. We'll know those are legs.
That's true.
Gotta
Dude.
get those tree trunks, man. Those.
I'm working on it. I'm
Right?
working on it.
No
I definitely
kidding.
need to get some new boots. I don't like calling them cleats.
Yeah,
I feel like a
call
little,
'em boots.
That's one of my few snobby things about knowing how people in Europe speak.
As boots.
Is I call them. I always feel like a stupid American when I call them cleats.
Yeah.
I imagine them being said like that. Hey, can I get some cleats?
Right. Yeah. It's
It
kind
reminds me of this one kid.
Did you call him cleats?
No, but he was in our German class when I lived in Germany. He's like, how do you say Jersey? We were kids. I mean,
Tricot.
yeah, and he was like, Trico. Is Trey going Trico? And we used to laugh at how he said Trico.
My
Not to his face.
Czech,
We're
my
very
Czech
nice.
students would always call it a dress.
A dress?
A jersey, a dress.
Interesting.
Because I think I think in Czech it
That's
is
the direct
technically the
translation.
same word. Yeah.
In French, isn't it like costume or something like that?
In Russian, it's costume.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of crazy how that works. Yeah.
Trico.
Yep.
Oh, jeez. Perfect.